All right, guys, thanks for joining in. It's our last call for April. Ah, what a crazy month. Okay, so just a few like housekeeping things, I guess, for May. Obviously, the BOD groups are up. I know I got a lot of questions about it because people are having issues. For some reason, the create group like feature is after you click on join a group, I've noticed, and I don't know if it works for every join a group link for people, but it's not very like intuitive in that sense. So I kind of just played around with it on Sunday. I will have our group up. I think I'm going to try to record the like intro video for it tonight to have it up and running, but I put that it was actually going to start on Friday. And I'll figure out how to invite people to it and all that stuff after I get it going. So whenever you set it up, it's kind of cool because you can actually make an intro video for any person that you like deem able to find it, which would be like leads, coaches, customers, reviewers. You can let all of them find your group. And once they find it, they can request to join it and your intro video would show up for them. So it makes it really personal, which is cool. So if you are going to be actively like hitting Success Club, an Emerald coach, getting leads, I would suggest that you have your own BOD group in there because you're going to want your leads to be able to find you right away. And if you're only embedded in like one of our bigger groups, they might not be able to find a group to add to. And we all know sometimes like with leads, it's hard to track those people down if you just have an email address or some do not contact. So having the ability now for them to be able to find you on BOD groups is really cool. You can put your own personal touch in it. And it doesn't have to be like a huge group, you guys. I know people kind of get nervous about only having like 5 people. Those can sometimes be the best groups because more people are engaged. So don't let numbers deter you. You can still join in the bigger one for your own accountability, but it's cool to have your own setup for your own customers whenever they're getting added and your own coaches. I have not had a chance to listen to the wake up call today, but Carl went through more BOD group stuff. I would just suggest if you still have questions to go through the training that they posted after Super Saturday for it and go from there. And then the other thing is the promotion for 10 rounds is still going on. If you have not like, decided to commit to that program yourself, no big deal. Like you can still sell that challenge pack to other people and they get the most for their money that way because it's the same price as like the annual all access BOD challenge pack. So make sure that you like are selling the benefits of that. We have a couple days left in the month and it's still completely possible to hit Success Club. And I would say if you are chasing big goals, like now is the time to be an Emerald coach, hitting Success Club, getting leads because you are getting like at least 1 lead a day from Beachbody. And they don't all turn into something major, but like you're getting 30 plus new customers a month for free right now if you are hitting Success Club in your Emerald. So it's a huge time to capitalize on that to then hopefully, turn them into someone you can earn commission from. I've noticed a lot of mine are free 14-day trials. So I'm messaging them before their 14 days is up, like via email, letting them know about challenge packs and stuff like that. So if they upgrade to that, since you have them as a customer, you get to benefit from it. So that's that. Our book club will start next week too. So I set up the group for that on Facebook. You can invite anybody you want. They don't have to be a Beachbody customer to that. And I will be adding more people to it today. And then I just said for week 1, we can do like chapters 1 and 2. And I'll put a poll in there to see what day and time work best for everyone. And if it just so happens that it doesn't work, that we all get on a Zoom for it or whatnot, the book has really like good prompts at the end to discuss. So we can figure out some way to discuss it within the group. But I finished it this weekend and it was great. I'm excited to read it again and like actually do the prompts. So if you don't have it yet and you want to join, snag it because it's a good one. All right, now we're going to jump into social media. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to talk kind of fast because it is a lot of content. I thought for today I would start with some of the more basics like setting up pages and how you want your page to look and privacy settings because these are some of the main questions I get at the outset. Next week, I'll dive more into like stories and content and we'll go from there. Like, I don't know how long this series will take, if you will, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. So, sorry, let me present here. And I'll share this in the team page when we get done, as well as a recording. So tonight I'm going to talk about like what social media channels to use, privacy settings. I got a question about that today from a newer coach. I thought I would cover that. Instagram handles or usernames, cover photos and profile pics, the bio about me section, and then photo editing apps. And at the end, I put some like inspiration accounts. They're just coaches. Like inspiration accounts can be anybody other than a coach. And I'll talk about that. But it's helpful whenever you're getting started to follow a couple of these people, not to like duplicate their content, but just to get ideas. especially like content ideas and picture ideas and stuff like that. So I'm going to share that at the end too. But first, I thought I would talk about like what should you be using if you're actively coaching here, like what social media channels should you actually use? And I put Facebook, Instagram, personal website / blogs, and TikTok. I don't mean you have to use all of these. These are just ones that I see like are the biggest forums or platforms right now that people are using. Facebook is interesting because like a couple years ago, you would almost have to use Facebook to have a successful coaching business. And now it's not the case at all. If you don't want to post on Facebook and you want to be Instagram only, it totally works these days. So don't feel like you have to have it. The reason why I included it is because some people like me, I still connect with a lot of people via Facebook, especially being like a military family, moving around a lot. It's very like, for me, it's the easiest way to connect with new people that way. Some coaches use those special interest groups on really heavily. Like I was telling Stacy, you know, every time we move, I try to plug into like the Army spouse groups. There's a Peloton Law Moms group for people that have the app or use the bike or the tread or whatever. There's groups out there for like trying to conceive and pregnant over 35. Like I wouldn't go join a ton of these groups, but like if there's something really specific to you or like niche driven, those groups can be really helpful as well. The other thing is if you want to have an Instagram business page, you have to have a Facebook business page. I'll just touch on that briefly. Just because it makes you create a Facebook business page doesn't mean you actually have to use it. It's just Instagram requires it because they speak to each other. So I don't think anymore that there's really a need to use a Facebook business page. The only way to get traction on a Facebook business page is to spend a bunch of money on ads. And I would never tell like a newer coach or, you know, anyone who maybe doesn't have a big budget for this. Like I kind of look at 10% reinvestment as my like guideline for myself. I wouldn't put a ton of money into ads. They're great because they're cheap, but it's a really difficult thing to figure out and not everybody has the money for that. So Facebook personal pages are great. If you have a network there and if you are actively using it. There are plenty of coaches that don't use it. So Instagram now is like the biggest platform, of course, especially when Instagram stories came out. It kind of like negated any like traction that was going towards Snapchat. With Instagram, you have a lot more visibility. You can connect with more people. You can make your profile business, which I'll talk about in a second, which allows you to really like study analytics. I don't spend a ton of time doing this, but it's a cool feature. You can run ads on Instagram, and then Instagram, of course, is like the influencer space. So you can tag brands on there if you want to have greater visibility. You can use hashtags for greater visibility. Once you get above 10,000 followers, you can use swipe ups, which certainly helps, you know, drive business for you. And then there are other perks to it, like, you know, if you want to try to get approved for like a reward style account or something like that. Trish, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself. I'll unmute you.
Okay, so I've, you know, posted some things on Instagram, and I've gotten very random things that are like that they follow me or requesting to follow them. So what is your recommendation? Because there was one in particular, was a guy that was like fitness, and it's like, so I was like, okay, fine, follow, like, or whatever. And it's like, then I just started seeing like, it's not that they're bad, but it's just like, I don't want to see that every single day, 400 times a day on my page. Like, so what's your like recommendation as far as like who you follow and who you don't? Like, so like, I mean, I have I have had several random people, you know, whether it's like Morning Meltdown 100, you know, things that I have put like tagged or whatever that have asked me to follow them. So what's your recommendation on how you monitor that and go through that?
Well, I'm going to talk more about growing your network later, not today, but I feel like if you're using Morning Meltdown as your hashtag, you're going to get coaches probably that follow you more than anything. And then two, like, I just don't generally follow dudes on Instagram.
I'm not doing Morning Meltdown anymore. Like now I'm doing 10 rounds, and it was this, but it was just a random.
Yeah, I'll talk more about hashtags and stuff later. I think if you're using program name hashtags, be prepared for a bunch of coaches to follow you. And it's up to you
Um,
whether you want to accept that follow or not.
but
When I get to the bio,
I think that's just where I don't understand Instagram. Like I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
yeah, okay.
Just
I'll talk a little bit more about like what your bio will say, and then like how you want to brand yourself, which is more like today, kind of like getting the like structure of everything looking the way you want it, and then I'll get into like hashtags and following people and growing your network and making sure you're getting the right people. Because in general, you just want to find your niche. Like you don't want it to be a wide net of people, like the moms that you can relate to, the people that live in your area, things like that. And in general, like I don't connect well with guys as my clients because I don't run groups that are like unisex or, you know, for everyone. It's mostly women. So I get some guy clients, but not many, and it's totally fine by me. You don't have to accept everybody. The next thing I put is personal websites and blogs. I would not spend a lot of time on this unless you just feel really passionate about blogging and like sharing your life that way, or you want to like really brand yourself. Like this is kind of a stepping stone down the road, but I get asked this a lot. I just always am like, if you want to put time into it and you know how to do it, go for it. But it's not going to produce a lot of fruit right away because you have to drive traffic to that, which means you have to learn Facebook or you have to learn Instagram first. So personal websites and blogs are great, but I feel like it's a time like, you know, factor for a lot of people and it's hard to learn. So I feel like that's something that you don't have to have. TikTok I put on here because that's obviously getting very popular. I cannot give a full like lesson on TikTok because I don't know enough about it myself, but I can say that like if you are interested in learning more about it, I have a feeling you're probably going to end up seeing some training coming out from coaches about it because they always put stuff like that in the Beachbody Champions page as it gets popular. But also YouTube is a great resource for that. Like if you want to learn like TikTok for business, I see bloggers putting their clothes on there. I see people who are really into like cooking, putting their recipes on there. I see like fitness people doing their fitness thing. Then you have like Megan Ewaldson doing dance. Like if that's your thing, great. I just don't know a lot about it. I have a account for it just to like, you know, come up with like the video mashups for workouts each day. But that's becoming a very, very popular outlet. So it's something that you can utilize. I think it's great to jump on those things if that's your thing, like whenever they first get started, because you can grow a huge network with it really quickly before it gets super popular. The next thing is I got asked this today, like, should my profile be public or private? And this can be for Facebook or Instagram. The answer is kind of going to be the same. Whether to have it public or private, sorry, I misspelled a word, is based on your personal preference. So if your pages are public, which mine are, your content is open for all to see, but you can more easily grow your business with a public profile. I think this is especially true on Instagram because if you're putting hashtags on your posts, if you're trying to grow your network on Instagram by going out and following a bunch of people, if they come back to your page and it's private and they can't view your content, I don't necessarily think you get as many people that will request to follow you back. So I do think it can limit growth in that sense. Also, if you are going to have your Instagram as a business page, which I do recommend, you have to have it public, but you can actually do a lot more with it. So like if you have an Instagram business page, it's very easy to change your page over to a business page. If you go into your Instagram and you choose settings, you can actually like, you know, designate it as a fitness page or a health and beauty page. And you can tag brands. Like say if you posted a picture of you and your kids are wearing like Carter's Destiny just did this. I saw she tagged Bye Bye Baby with these little chairs that her kids were sitting in, and Bye Bye Baby said, "Can I reshare?" And she said yes. Like if your profile is not public or business, I think it has to be business for that to actually work. You can actually tag those brands in your photos and they will ask to repost them, which of course just drives traffic to your page. If you don't want that, totally fine to leave it as private. Just know that it will be harder to grow that page if it is set as private. I totally understand some people are like, you know, my family life, I want it to be separate from my business life. My response to that is then create a separate page and make sure the content that you put on one is exactly what you want it to be, because it is something that like, it's your business, you know, you're the CEO of it and you have to decide how you want to grow it. And having a specific business page is a great idea for it, especially if you are trying to grow and you are trying to share your content that way. The other thing is you have to have it as a business page, I believe, to get the swipe up feature when you get to 10,000. And then you also have to have it as a business page for running ads, which again is a very like, you know, It's a whole other in-depth topic, but it's nice to be able to have the ability to, should you decide to do that one day. The analytics piece though, you guys, I'll tell you, like, it looks super confusing, or it sounds confusing when you hear the word analytics, but basically, like when I log in, and I have to figure out how I can turn my phone to where it like links up to this, because I don't think you guys can see it. It tells me exactly how many profile visits I've had in the last 7 days, and I can click on that, and it shows me how many views of each story I've had, how many views of each post. It also shows me, like, in the last 7 days, what days I had the most traffic on my page, what times. It tells you your audience that way, like how many people are following you versus unfollowing you, where a majority of your audience lives, which is really helpful because, I mean, if you're like, a majority of my audience is South Carolina. So like, when I tag places in South Carolina, or, go to do follows, I could continue to like work on that. And then it'll tell you the gender, and then the peak times for posting for each day. That's super helpful. So like 3 p.m. is my peak time for Sundays. And like, that's just something that's good to know. Like if you want your post to get the most response, you can follow what the analytics say to continue to see it grow, which is a good thing. I'm terrible about like actually scheduling posts in for that, but if you have a business page, you can also schedule posts in. So that's kind of the other piece to it. On Facebook, same thing. Like if your page is private, it just means that like, if other, like say if your friends are liking your posts, their friends might see your posts because they've like, had activity on it. Especially used to be this way with like a business page, and like friends of friends would see it, or like Colin's friends would see my post if I tagged him. And it honestly, it brought some people to me from like, just, that Colin grew up with and stuff like that. So it's totally up to you. I know like we've had these chats tons of times, especially like when Jonathan was deployed, Stacy and I talked about it. And basically she just never posted he was deployed, but she kept her pages public. And that's totally like, it's a personal thing. You have to discuss that with your family, like how they feel about your kids being posted, how you feel about it. But if you're going to have a business with this, it is helpful to have a business page separately to be able to post content that pertains to like women you're trying to reach, or people you're trying to reach, and groups you're running and things like that. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is like creating an effective Instagram username. I mean, on Facebook, your name is usually your name. I know sometimes people make up weird things. It's going to be the same rule on Facebook. Like if you just want to make some weird name, like my sister changes her name on there all the time. I'm like, maybe she wants to be anonymous, not found. That's fine. But in general, obviously, if it's like your business, the most effective thing you can do for yourself is to make it like a searchable, recognizable name for you. So maybe it's your name, maybe it's your name plus fitness at the end, maybe it's your name plus wellness at the end. I've seen fit wife, fit mom, fitness coach, things like that. All of those are good because they have your name in them. It's whenever it's some like third party thing that maybe people don't know you by, that it becomes more difficult, because if you're meeting people, it's going to be hard for them to find you on Instagram. Like if you're wanting to connect with them after you meet them, if you maybe get leads, this is another thing to think about, and they search for you because they don't necessarily have all your social media info. They're not going to be able to find you if your username's not like a recognizable, searchable name. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think making sure it represents you as a person or your brand is really important. Like if you have multiple jobs, so like, I'm an attorney. So if my username was like Sarah Cronin Lawyer, it would be really confusing for people if I was trying to use that for fitness, right? So like my business really is what takes over as like the theme on my page. So I have it as Sarah Cronin Fit Mom. And then I have another page that's like Sarah Cronin Wellness Coach. And I'll put like as part of the about me that I'm an attorney, because I connect with people that are like working professionals, but I don't think that has to be like my username. So I think that's really important. I know like, and you'll see this at the end, the inspiration accounts I post, almost everyone just uses their own name. And I think that is honestly, it makes sense, right? Like you want people to be able to find you for you. So I know that like I used to use like Sarah22184 as like usernames on other things. But when I started this, I was like, no, I need to make it like me, Sarah Cronin. So people will not be confused by that. The multiple page thing on Instagram can be overwhelming for some people, but it's actually really easy to set up. And you can post some of the same content on multiple like multiple pages if you want, super easily. So I would just say, think about it. If you have a page that's really geared towards one thing, or if maybe you're, like selling something else, or you're really passionate about something else, maybe you just consider leaving those things separate. The other thing is make it memorable, easy to spell, easy to say, connected to your market. And that's more just for like, connecting with people, but having them recommend you to other people too. Or like, I know sometimes whenever I'm posting like our workout pics, I have a hard time finding certain people because their usernames on Instagram are not like their real names, it's something else. And sometimes they just don't get tagged because of it, because like Instagram's not pulling it up for me, or, whatever. Maybe I can't remember the full thing. So I think having it memorable for other people, especially like on the team too, helps. And then the other thing is if you have a business page on Instagram, it'll ask you to say like what type of page it is, and you'll have your username, but it'll also let you name your business. So I would say like if you're going to have like Destiny Hitchens as your, username on Instagram, you can put then as your business name like Destiny Hitchens Wellness or Destiny Hitchens Fitness or something like that. So you can actually reiterate like what the purpose of your business is if you just have your name as your username. So that's kind of a lot, but I think, just assessing like things from the big picture, like if I were to connect with somebody else, would they know what I was doing, is a really important thing. So just keep that in mind. If you want to go in and change your username at any time, you totally can. I remember when I changed mine from like Sarah Cronin to Sarah Cronin Fit Mom, I had a few friends be like, why did you do that? Like making fun of me. And I'm like, it's a business decision for me, like I am completely comfortable with it. I use my Instagram more for that than I do for personal sake. Like it's personal because it's my life, but it's, there's a business purpose behind it. And I was making that decision for myself. So no shame, no shame. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about was like your cover photo and profile pic. So I think on Instagram, it's really important that it be like a really up close picture of you rather than it being like a whole family or you and a group of people, because you get such a small like snapshot on somebody's phone. So I would say if you don't have like, a headshot of yourself, it's really easy to put your phone on like selfie mode and set the timer and do a closer up picture of yourself. And I think having that is really important because like you want people, if they're searching for you, to know it's you when they get to your page. So I think up close and personal for Instagram is really important. Facebook, obviously, it's most people can see it bigger. So I don't think it's as big of a deal that it be like a, straight up like face shot. But on Instagram, I think it's really important. On Facebook, you can also add your cover photo. And I think this is totally up to you. Like if you're using Facebook more for personal purposes, you can put your family or just you. I've seen people though, they take their personal Facebook page and they want to put their like business stamp on it. And so they create like in Canva a business banner or something like that. And it's like, click here to work with me. And you can do that on your Facebook personal page. You can do it on a Facebook business page. It's really simple to like put a photo with like a banner on something in Canva as just like a free site. So if you want to brand your Facebook page, you could do that too. And then the last thing I said is pictures should just be clear and consistent with use of filters and lighting. Like lighting is probably your biggest thing in pictures. And I'm going to talk in a second about like what apps are really good for that. But a dark picture, a grainy picture, a like, looking at somebody's profile where everything's a different like, theme or color, that stuff throws people off. Like our eyes like what our eyes like. So just trying to keep consistency across your pages, I think, is a really good thing too. Not that it has to be the same picture. And then changing it up, like change up your pictures. If you feel like your page isn't really getting as much traction or whatever, like change up your profile picture. On Facebook, you'll see it like posts it almost and it starts to drive traffic back to your page. So don't be afraid to change it up often too. Okay, next thing is bio about me. And I put Jatana Jackson here. She probably has the most Facebook followers of any Beachbody coach I've ever seen. And like her bio about me. So this public figure is like the type of business. So I think I have beauty or health and beauty. You could do fitness there. You could do public figure, whatever you want. But she's got her name, like this is her business name, Jatana Jackson, coach and mentor. And then her actual like username is just Jatana Jackson. She has 194,000 followers, which is just the reason why I picked her to put on this page. But she's like a pageant like person, used to be Mrs. Virginia, like puts a post about where she lives. Then she helps moms get the body they've always wanted after kids. Like that's her, business perspective, if you will. She's obsessed with Insta stories, constantly dancing on them. Like I think a year ago, she was like the person Beachbody got to do like the very first National Wake Up Call about Insta stories. And then she's got her application here. So I just wanted to show you like, okay, here's a effective bio about me, because you can tell a little bit about her, like moms, where she lives, she's got a pageant queen background, and then she drives you to where she wants you to like take action. So bios and about me, really, they show up on Facebook and Instagram. So you could put the same thing on both, or you could change it up. It's totally up to you. But the first thing I think you should think about is, what's the first impression you want to make? Like, she wants people to know right off the bat, she's a coach and she mentors people. She's a public figure. These are the things she finds that are most important about her life. So think about it whenever you're making your bio about me. The key points I would say is like what your account is all about. If you want to post about, there's so many takes on coaching, right? Like some people are faith in coaching. Some people are like, I just want to like really appeal to moms and make moms feel better. Other people are like healthy family, really into serving kids and stuff like that. Think about those things and what your perspective is going to be before you start to go put this all together. Because I think like people that start to garner a big following can get away with just putting like dog mom there. But if somebody came to your page and brand new and they just see dog mom, like that doesn't really tell them much. But maybe if like you have a specific kind of dog that you're really passionate about and you put that there, you can go ahead and like start to attract specific people with that same type of dog. Same thing is like if you want to help a specific subset of people with coaching, somehow addressing that in your bio is like imperative. Like you don't have to help everybody with this business. I don't think you should. I think you should help the people that fire you up, so they don't drain you and like suck all your energy dry. So really think about who those people are. Like it's probably going to be the you that started this. For me, it was like overworked attorney, new mom, can't figure out where she's going in life, doesn't really like the path she decided to take, but is in student loan debt and needs to like figure it out. So like, trying to speak to some of those things is, I know, Randa, like we get each other. But like speaking to some of those things is important, because somebody, if they come to my page and that's their story too, like they'll feel instantaneously connected with me. If their story is more like, I can afford all the workouts out there in the world, student loan debt isn't an issue, like whatever, like we might not jive, like our perspectives are going to be totally different. So I would just say, what makes you uniquely you? You see a lot, like pick your top 5 things that you want to post about and connect with others about. So like when you make these things as your bio about me, in general, the theme of your page should track along with this. Like if this is what you put, then you might post about your past as like a pageant queen. Then you might post about like, oh, here's coastal living. I guess she was maybe a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I have no idea. And then if like her goal is to help moms, she's probably going to put like one in every like 5 to 6 posts will be about like being a busy mom and still figuring out a way to get her workouts in or something like that. So when you put your like top 5 here about you, chances are your content should be like following along with that. And then people, when they come to your page, they know who you are, they know what to expect out of what you post. And then they can be like, okay, this is my kind of person or not, and it's totally fine if it's not, you guys. Like not everybody will be. Instagram's a huge, huge world. And then the last thing I put here for your bio is to make it pretty. So I would just spend some time like brainstorming a little bit about this. And then definitely like if you want, I'm always happy to look at it and be like, okay, cool. Like maybe there's a way we could dial in a little bit more on this to make it more personal, and you kind of zero out certain people that aren't your people if you make it a little bit more targeted. Or if you have issues with like how to weed out certain things, like there's just a lot of stuff you're passionate about, whatever. Like I know Stacy will take a look at your bio with you if you want. I will. We're happy to do these like little social media audits, anytime. And the nice thing about the bio is you can change it as much as you want. Like mine would say like Prosecco Queen, and then I get pregnant and have to take that down. I mean, like it's just like as your life changes, your bio might change too. And then adding like specific spacing so people can get like a good clean feel when they look at it is important. The last thing I put here is Linktree, and this is a lot of information, you guys, so don't feel like you have to take it and like do it all right away. But you see how she has an application right here? So on Instagram, if you have a business page, this is the other perk, you can add in like a website, but instead of a website, most people, especially coaches, will put some way to sign up with them here. Sorry. And Linktree is free, and it's a way that you can literally create links for anything. And so a lot of people go into like Google Docs and they create Google Forms. You can create a quick form that has like a space for name, email address, and maybe you put like goals you're working on or something. And anybody that comes to your page can click on this, and then they can complete your application or work with you or work out with you or whatever. If you have something linked there, so I think linking something there is really great because it's a way that people can contact you. Not everybody will message you. Some people are more comfortable with like an application. If you want to see examples, just go to some of these inspiration accounts that I posted, or you can go to mine. Mine's super, super basic because I'm not that, I don't do a lot of this like online editing stuff, but it's just like, here's your name, here's your email address, maybe your Instagram username, phone number, quick like goals, and then I'll put like, are you working with some other Beachbody coach or something like that, just to make sure I don't like get people that are the, you know, coach jumpers or whatever. But having something linked there is really good because it gives people like a way to respond to challenge group invites. You can always say complete the app in my bio, or in your stories you could talk about it and say there's an app in my bio, and then people always can complete that. So I put that here. Linktree is free. It basically is like a tool that you can use to link up forms from another site, and it gives you like almost like a web address that you can include here. Okay, photo editing apps. So I get asked this a lot, and this is what I was talking about, like kind of having like a specific theme to your posts. And honestly, you guys, like this just makes family pictures look better too if you have some way to use the same presets or filters or whatnot on your pictures. And not everyone is going to look the same on all of them, but Adobe Lightroom is the one that I think hands down is the best. It's like, you know, professional photographers use it, and it has a couple of presets built right in, but I think it's helpful to buy some, or you can find some free on, if you just Google and figure out what like themes you like. Like I've noticed some people like that pink-ish color, other people like more of the like modern look where it's like super stark, like contrasting colors. I'll show you in a minute when we get to the coach inspo accounts. Other people like that beachy type theme. I bought presets from Alexa Jean Fitness. I think Stacy probably did too. I feel like a few other people did. And her stuff, like she's a personal trainer or whatever, but she also does a lot of family stuff. So I think her filters tend to be good for both types. And you could go to her website and you can download them, and they just pull right into Adobe Lightroom. So Adobe Lightroom is the free app on your phone. And then you could buy presets like on Etsy. You could do Alexa Jean. You could look for the free ones on Google, and then you can pull the presets into Adobe Lightroom, and literally you just copy and paste the settings onto your pictures. And it gives your pictures like a brighter look a lot of times. It gives them a like sharper look. And you can modify it in there, like if you don't like, you know, one specific, like, I don't know all the photo editing terms. But it's, to me, that's been the best one that I found. Some other ones I found today just looking are Enlight and Facetune. I don't know them, so I can't give you specifics, but they had really high ratings on the App Store. I put Pic Collage here because that's what I use for before and after photos a lot of times. I don't think it's free. Like it's free, but it'll end up showing up with like a watermark at the bottom. So I think you have to pay to get the watermark off. If you ever want like me to do side-by-side photos for you, because I end up paying for a lot of these things, I'm happy to do it. The other one is Flipper. Like if you just want to make like kind of change up your pictures, Flipper, you can like, it literally would take you and like double you or triple you, or it's like the mirror image version of you, right or left. So that's kind of like, you know, just a way to make things a little more interesting sometimes if you want to break up your feed. I put WordSwag here because you can take photos into WordSwag and you can put words on them. That's what I used for like all the stories that I made for the challenge group for next week. Like WordSwag is, excuse me, it's free. It's got a lot of cool like fonts that you can choose from that are free. There's some that you pay for, but I haven't really paid for anything because they have so much good stuff. And then they also have a lot of like stock photos in there that are good for challenge group usage. But I put that in here because you can put like words on photos that way. And then I know we have like Ashley, I found this baby story thing, and it lets you put like your weeks. It has a bunch of other sayings in it. It's not just baby related, but I put that on there because I know we have some expectant mamas in the group. Okay, cool. That is like the content. Now I want to show you some of the inspiration accounts. And again, like I wouldn't go take these and follow them specifically like to feel like you have to conform to this. Don't compare yourself to these people, but literally take it and use it for inspiration if you want. And I tried to put a variety of people. So Kate Schultz is a really successful coach, and it doesn't have to be coaches. I'm just putting coaches on here for you guys, like, to generate like ideas for content. She is married. She was a teacher. She quit her teaching job to be a full-time coach. She doesn't have kids, so I put her right here because I feel like we need a variety of moms and non-moms, of course. Clearly she's going through like infertility, miscarriage journey. So that obviously is specific to her, but if you can relate to that, then she might be a really good person for you to follow. I put Heather Shipley here. She's really successful. She's actually a professor at the University of Alabama. And I feel like if you're like a working professional, full-time, you know, still working, doing coaching, this might be somebody you'd like to follow. She just had a baby, but she has gone through a couple of miscarriages and stuff like that. But she was really good when I heard her speak live. And I feel like having somebody who's still working is obviously a great other, you know, coach to follow, because a lot of people quit their jobs and then you're like, well, I'm not really there, or maybe that's not your goal, you know. That's how I feel. So I like to follow her. Another person I put here is Kelsey Hill. I don't really know her. She was in the top 10 last year, but obviously she's very pregnant and she's sharing her pregnancy journey. So I put her here, and she's a ton of followers. Emily Favre was in the top 10 last year. She had like a huge like fertility struggle that she posted about, several miscarriages, and has been a coach for several years. And like, I think basically through 80-day obsession, just kind of found her rhythm with this and has done really well for herself. She's also a military spouse, so I put her in here. And then Nikki Whiting, she's a full-time coach. She's been a coach for several years, but I put her because she's got like this mod look. She posts a lot of fashion and house stuff too. So like, I think you can always obviously incorporate your other interests into your page, which she does, and she does it really well. So here's some other ones for you. If you have other people you're looking for or whatever, I don't follow any of these people because I went through this phase where I followed a lot of people in the beginning for like ideas and I quit. But if I feel stuck, sometimes I'll go to their pages, but sometimes it can almost have the like opposite effect of just making you feel deterred. So I wouldn't fixate on these people. I love to follow like a lot of fashion bloggers. Like, I mean, the Sister Studio is wonderful. If you like to buy clothes online, and then like Loverly Gray is this fashion person who also is an expectant mama. Like, I think you can get a lot of inspiration from these other people that are not coaches and do just as well. Like, you don't have to post about coaching constantly. Nicole, I was trying to find like a coach who was successful that's like really into running or, you know, some other type of racing, but I just could not think of anybody. I think I was hitting a total wall before, or as I was making this afternoon. But like, if those are your things, I think there's probably somebody out there to follow that has, you know, a good type of feed that you can share along with. There was some farm, like really successful farmer coach, Amanda, and I was trying to find her too. I cannot remember this chick's name, but I remember when Country Eat came out, she was like, her name was all over everything, and I was like, I wish I could find her, like for you. And then I know like on the attorney side, Christina Delgado used to be an attorney, but it's hard to relate to these people now that have left their jobs and are doing coaching full time, because I feel like sometimes their life has changed so much, you know? Does anybody have any questions? I know I went way over. Sorry. Anybody? I'll talk a little bit more next week. I was thinking I would talk about like stories and just content for stories and apps for stories, and then ways to like work on like kind of tagging other things in your stories to increase views. And then I think the following week is when I'll do like growing your network, because I feel like that takes a big chunk of time to talk about.
You recorded this too, right?
I did, yeah.
Because I invited Crystal, but I wasn't sure if she was going to make it tonight, so I told her she could go. I'm going to put her on our group page. I hadn't added her yet.
I'm going to record everyone, and then at the end, what I'd like to do is create just like some Word document, like checklist, like, you know, something that's just really short to come back to be like, okay, is my like user where I want it to be? Is my profile picture where I want it to be?
Yeah.
And I think it's like, it doesn't have to be, none of this has to be applied to coaching. Like, I get questions all the time from people who are like, how do you grow your Instagram page? And it's like, well, I learned through coaching, but like it's the same concept applies. Like if your goal is to grow it to be a lifestyle brand or to, I don't know, get paid sponsorships for other things, like the same concepts apply a lot of times. All right, I'm going to end the recording and then